Would you work with Rigathi Gachagua?
We will work with everyone who believes in these things. We will work with everyone who believes that William Ruto does not deserve an extra day in office. And for as long as that is our cause, we will work together. There is no problem.
So is it about political numbers, or is it about a value-based system? Because a short while ago,
yes,
you just said you needed no inducement,
yes,
to impeach Rigathi Gachagua, yes, as deputy president.
Yes.
Now you say you could possibly work with him. What has changed?
Nothing has changed, because you see, first of all, as a lawyer, I will tell you there is a rule against double jeopardy. So he paid for his mistakes. He was impeached. What else do you want me to do? Beat him? He already was impeached. I already voted to impeach him. And it was for specific crimes, which we have discussed here, you and me. But I'm telling you, he's the one now who's saying William Ruto is actually an existential threat to the country, and whatever it takes that he can do to help remove him. And by the way, there's a curious thing that he says, that he feels largely responsible for William Ruto becoming president, and that therefore he has a greater responsibility in removing him than anyone else. And that is something that I agree with, because at the end of the day, we have to kick out William Ruto, you know? So if he's going to, and I've given this analogy, that if he's going to hold the leg of the animal that we are hunting, and somebody else holds another leg, and another one distracts him, and then we are able to put down this animal, it is okay for the future of the country. A lesson needs to be taught in 2027, Yvonne, that if you come to office through democratic means and then you refuse to listen to the people, or you abandon the cause of the people, and you do the things that William Ruto has done, and we have gone through how we have gotten to this particular point in time, that you have to be removed. And I think it will help our democracy, so that even the next person who succeeds William Ruto in office in 2027 will know that for as long as you depart from what you promised Kenyans and you start doing your own things because you think now you are a big man, you'll also be kicked out. So
is former President Uhuru Kenyatta funding your campaign?
No, he's not.
Have you spoken to him?
I speak to him because he's the party leader of Azimio. I do speak to Uhuru. Yeah, and he's a friend to, was a friend to the late Prime Minister Raila Odinga. So when you run into him, you talk to him. Ama you'll avoid him.
So he's not funded?
No, he's not.
Does he make any other contribution of any kind?
No, maybe just encouraging us. When he speaks, and he does it in public, he says young people need to be encouraged to take leadership. You've heard him saying it. And that young person is you? Young people. This thing is not about Sifuna.
Yeah, I'm asking a question. I'm sitting down now with Sifuna, so the questions will be directed to you. He has publicly encouraged young people. Yeah. I am 44 years, by the way. I doubt that he's even talking about people like me. He's talking about the young people. Aged below the age of 35. He wants them to participate in these things, and I'm happy that many of them are answering the call. You can see many of them are offered themselves to be MCAs, MPs, senators, even governors. There's a very young governor aspirants that I've seen in Linda Mwananchi rallies, and that is what he's been encouraging them to do. Has he encouraged you in the Linda Mwananchi movement? I'm already in leadership. Yeah, but I am already a senator. So you don't need any more encouragement? No, we don't need more encouragement. We want these people who don't participate in politics to participate, who view this thing as something in the abstract or something that is beyond them, to realize that there is need for them to involve themselves in politics. And I think that's what he's been saying. Does he provide you with any strategy? No. None at all? No. Okay. Yeah. So any conversations you have are about... Would you care to share? Those are my private conversations with Uhuru. Unless you want to join the next meeting, Yvonne, you can come and sit in and listen. The people hear that, oh, these guys are saying that Linda Mwananchi cannot run for office because they don't have money. Well, how about we finance this thing ourselves? Number two, there was one of the prominent persons in the country who said, forget these 10 shillings, you can just call me and I'll give you 1 billion shillings and you'll be able to be on your way. And the public are saying this is part of a problem, because if you have a few wealthy donors who then give you all the money that you need, you will owe those people going into your administration. And maybe if the interest of those few people clashes with the public interest, you are more likely to listen to those who gave you the money to campaign than the public. So if you want to insulate your leaders, from the corrupting influence of money, you should be able to be the ones to say, we own this candidate. And it has worked in
many democracies. I remember when Bernie Sanders, the senator in the US, was running for office, and even Barack Obama himself, he received one of the highest small donor contributions for his campaign. So it is an awakening, and I'm telling you, when I went to Western Kenya and I go to community market, and these mamas in the market are bringing you 50 bob, 10 shilling coins. It was a very emotional moment for me, because first of all, I appreciate that they are going through a very difficult time, and for them to say we are going to spare whatever it is little we have for you to be able to, for us to be able to support your campaign, it is something that is a very powerful moment for me, and I will never forget. I want to assure the people in all those places in Kiminini, in Kamukuywa, in Chwele, who contributed to us those small amounts, that we will put that money to good use.
What are you using the allegation there of people being bribed in the Senate during the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua as deputy president at the time?
Yes.
You were a Senate minority whip at the time.
Absolutely.
Do you know anything about this? Money being paid to senators to vote a particular way?
You know, this thing is always said. I have heard it a million times, and every time they're invited to demonstrate who was giving the money and for what reason, they have never demonstrated that. So it's something that I actually personally don't pay too much attention to. I think you should be able to speak to that accounting officer that he has named there. Let him account. Tell us, I got money from this guy and gave this guy. That's all we need, because there's a lot of talk in politics and people just trying to besmirch and smear people's names.
But did you hear of any of these allegations?
I have heard these things, I think, from the time that Rigathi was impeached. These stories have been there. This is not the first time that you're hearing that story. And all we need now, Kenyans, is for them to level with Kenyans. Tell us the money was picked from Yvonne and given to Sifuna. That's all we need.
Have you did you receive any money during the impeachment?
No, they should come and tell us who gave us money.
So you didn't receive any payment?
You see, like right now,
to induce you to vote during the impeachment?
I didn't need any inducement when it came to Rigathi's impeachment, because publicly I had taken positions against some of his conduct and his pronouncements, and I'd even at some point, there is one of the grounds of impeachment there was his interference in the running and management of Nairobi City County. I don't know if you remember that. And I had actually put out a public statement saying that he's going too far in his interference with devolution, because that's what I was elected to do. There's a letter that I did, and I wish you had informed me that you'd be discussing this, because I would bring you a copy of this letter. So I actually believed at that particular moment in time, I don't need any inducement to do that, you know? So all of these allegations, they're just wild allegations, because they're always looking for a way to besmirch people's reputations. I remember similar allegations were made by the Council of Governors, you remember? The Senate invited them to present that evidence that some senators were extorting them money. Up to today, Yvonne, you know, it's one thing to make an allegation, and legally, he who alleges must prove. So for me, these stories are going to continue. Until the day that somebody comes and shows you that this money came from Yvonne and it was given to someone, then these other things are just attempts to muddy the waters in Kenya. So William Ruto, by the way, I will accept that in the election of 2022, he rode on a very popular wave. I think he was very popular, especially with the small Mwananchi. Then you have to ask him, how did he lose all of that support? What are the things that he did? First of all, you get in and power gets to your head and you become very obstinate, that you refuse to listen to the people. There is a value under Article 10 which talks about public participation. We are servants of the people, Yvonne. You have to listen to the people. If the people tell you that they don't want something, you don't force it upon them just because you are in power. That is part of the problem. And all these problems began, I remember in 2023, when Raila was still around and we were running around doing our maandamano with the sufurias on the head, we started by having a conversation at Jivanji Gardens, and we told the government that these are the things we feel you need to address. First of all, the cost of living was going way beyond the means of, or the capacity of many Kenyans, and you need to listen so that you are able to make interventions to be able to assuage the suffering of the population. What were we met with? Instead of listening to us, we were met with tear gas and bullets in the streets, and we lost a lot of lives back then. Then comes the taxation. I mean, we have been in this space where the few of us who are on pay slips have been taxed to the bone. you know, and you people can tell that even the purchasing power of Kenyans has gone down because of the high taxation. And what are these taxes going to? He'll tell you about the housing levy, and I asked him, honestly, President William Ruto, he claims he's trying to eliminate slums. What slum was he eliminating in Funyula, for instance? If you go to Funyula, that slum, that affordable housing that I was talking about, 12 floors, I was asking myself, what slum was he trying to eliminate in Funyula? The member of parliament for Funyula, Dr. Undo, is a member of Linda Mwananchi, and he confirmed to me there is no slum in Funyula. The priorities of the people in the area mean something. And you have to listen to them. If you spoke to the people of Busia, they would rather that concrete and steel was used in expanding the Busia hospital, doing schools and other things, because that is their priority. They will not live on the 12th floor, because there's no Luya who lives where a chicken cannot live. We live with our chicken, we don't rear them. I don't know if you understand the distinction. So I actually personally don't pay too much attention to. I think you should be able to speak to that accounting officer that he has named there. Let him account. Tell us, I got money from this guy and gave this guy. That's all we need, because there's a lot of talk in politics and people just trying to besmirch and smear people's names.
But did you hear of any of these allegations? I
have heard these things, I think, from the time that Rigathi was impeached. These stories have been there. This is not the first time that you're hearing that story. And all we need now, Kenyans, is for them to level with Kenyans. Tell us the money was picked from Yvonne and given to Sifuna. That's all we need.
Have you did you receive any money during the impeachment?
No. They should come and tell us who gave us money.
So you didn't receive any payment?
You see, like right now,
to induce you to vote during the impeachment?
I didn't need any inducement when it came to Rigathi's impeachment, because publicly I had taken positions against some of his conduct and his pronouncements, and I'd even at some point, there is one of the grounds of impeachment there was his interference in the running and management of Nairobi City County. I don't know if you remember that. And I had actually put out a public statement saying that he's going too far in his interference with devolution, because that's what I was elected to do. There's a letter that I did, and I wish you had informed me that you'd be discussing this, because I would bring you a copy of this letter. So I actually believed at that particular moment in time, I don't need any inducement to do that, you know. So all of these allegations, they're just wild allegations, because they're always looking for a way to besmirch people's reputations. I remember similar allegations were made by the Council of Governors, you remember. The Senate invited them to present that evidence that some senators were extorting them money. Up to today, Yvonne, you know, it's one thing to make an allegation, and legally, he who alleges must prove. So, for me, these stories are going to continue. Until the day that somebody comes and shows you that this money came from Yvonne and it was given to someone, then these other things are just attempts to muddy the waters.
Because that's the same question Frederick Okango is asking on X. We will get to it in a moment, but let me just read it out. He says there were allegations that you have alluded to in February of this year. COG formally naming you amongst 4 senators of extortion, intimidation, harassment. Is he clean, he asked.
So how do you know how that story ended, Yvonne? How did that story end for the COG? The COG made accusations in public, but when they made an apology, they made it in private. They came to the Senate and apologized to the Senate, because they, what is it called? The head of the institution there, called the Speaker, Kingi, he actually told them, you come and tell us what accusations you have against, or the proof that you have against these senators, and there was nothing. They actually came and apologized. There was another case in the National Assembly which was very curious regarding one of my allies, the Honorable Gachagua, and I happened to represent him. You know him, it went all the way to hearing, which is something that we didn't see in the Senate. We had a sitting of the Powers and Privileges Committee in the National Assembly, and I was very embarrassed, because the person who was making that accusation was actually Reverend Kobia, somebody who has a very high reputation and somebody who I have a lot of respect for. So when we were cross-examining him during those hearings, we asked him, even the people, you know, he said he had heard from somebody else that the Honorable Wamboka was seeking or soliciting funds from him, and the people who he said he heard from had written letters to the National Assembly saying that is not a correct position, you know. So it is one thing to allege things, but when we come to the crux of a matter and tell you, okay, show us this evidence that you have against so-and-so, they always crumble under cross-exam. The biggest complaint from Reverend Kobia was that Jack Wamboka, in his handling of a committee meetings, is very rough. You know, the way he talks. And in fact, he compared Mheshimiwa Wamboka to the other chair of cohesion in the Senate. I think it's Senator Chute. So I asked him, do you really expect all of us to be the same in the way that we talk or the words that we choose and how we behave? No, the biggest problem is that he felt that he was being handled roughly. It's the same thing with the members of the Council of Governors and the experiences in the Senate Public Accounts Committee. But I have argued, Yvonne, that there is no senator who can be nice in the face of some of the things that we have seen being brought out of the County Public Accounts Committee. And one of the things that people forget is that those responses come from the governors themselves. So, for instance, my friend in Embu, she came to the Senate and she told us she took 10 million shillings from the KIPES project, which is the County Aggregation and Industrial Parks project, to throw a bash for the border. My brother from Vihiga did the same. They took 5 million shillings and threw a housewarming for the completion of the Speaker's house. You have our brother from Taraka, for instance. He comes and the responses are so bad when you tell him, just read for me what you have written here. He says, Sifuna, I can't read, I forgot my glasses at home. So then they say we are harassing them. They are saying we are using the committee for political, to settle political scores and so on and so forth. But you should press them, because when they call those press conferences, Yvonne, your media houses are there. You people never press these governors and say, why don't you tender that evidence against Sifuna? Which is this governor who says I extorted them? What is the evidence against them? So wamejaribu kuharibu jina na imekataa. You see? So they will throw around all these sorts of things. But for me, our job is to remain focused. Some of these people who are throwing around mud here, if their files are opened, the Kenyans will be shocked.
I want us to talk about, Linda Mwananchi and the movement.
You want me to tell you about my house first? Because it was in the same clip, but you've only focused on one piece.
Tell us
first
about
of all,
your
Kenyans
house,
must know that I am very proud of that house. I built that house in 2015. And on average, I spent a maximum 2 weeks out of a year in that house when I take my daughter home for Christmas. Those people who are saying, oh, sijui what, it's okay. Some of us are built different, Yvonne. We are not attracted to flashy things and grandiosity. You know, I see some people saying, oh, because you are so and so, you should have this and this. It is possible to be modest. I remember you were with us. I think you came to Raila's home in Opoda. Is it a grand structure? It's just a house. It's just a house in the village. Even his house here in Karen, it's a very modest house by the current standards. I've seen people building monstrosities there, wall to wall. So it just depends on who you are and what things you fancy. Some of us are okay for as long as you're comfortable with some of these things and we're not attracted to this grandiosity. So that one is neither here nor there. And the fact that it is that house that people are discussing, it means wabetafuta story imewashinda. And our focus, our challenge is to remain focused on making sure that we succeed in the next election.